I don't know if Cam Ward is going to be a good quarterback in this league or not. I really don't. And after one game, it's obviously way too early to tell. Obviously, the man's got a ton of talent, and he was a star at the University of Miami. On the other hand, obviously, the man did not play well on Sunday against the Broncos. He looked slow to process passes at times, and didn't play smart football in big moments. It was definitely a mixed bag. However, I do know this much. Ward is clearly being set up to fail. Cam Ward is being put in an almost impossible spot, because aside from having receivers who cannot catch the football if their lives depended on it, he's got a head coach who is so brain dead and is so clueless that I don't know how he's still employed. He's got a head coach who led the team to the worst record in football the year before. He's got a head coach who could have gone into the halftime break with the lead and instead decided to be stupidly aggressive and throw 3 times inside his own end zone instead of running the ball and keeping the clock moving, which you can learn more about by clicking the card in the upper right corner. And he's also got a head coach who literally does not know the rule book of the National Football League. Cam Ward is completely and utterly screwed as long as Brian Callahan is there. Here's the situation. It's the third quarter, and the Titans, by some miracle, only find themselves down by 1 point, with the team looking to drive and retake the lead. On first down, the Titans get called for a slew of penalties, but with the Broncos having their choice of which penalty to accept, they decide to take the holding penalty, back the Titans up 10 yards, and make it 1st and 20. You are really behind the 8 ball at this point. You need to get 20 yards in a 3-play stretch to keep the drive alive. And on your previous 3 drives, you've accumulated a total of 3 yards, while going 20 yards just one time in your last 7 drives before this. The odds are clearly not in your favor, but maybe you can do something here. And sure enough, the rookies connect when Cam Ward hits Elic Ayomanor down the sideline for a huge gain. It gives the Titans a first down, it puts the Titans past midfield, it puts the Titans just 1 first down away from field goal range, and it gives the Titans that chunk play that they've been missing all game. And it's ruled incomplete. And yeah, in real time, I'll admit, this does look incomplete, and it does look like he landed out of bounds. But fortunately, you have time to look at this upstairs, and you can see on the replay that he caught the ball. He got the elbow in bounds. That counts as being in bounds. That is a catch 10 times out of 10. So naturally, Brian Callahan's going to help his offense out here and throw the challenge flag, and the play will be overturned, and the Titans will get a first down, and
go balls. Cam Ward over the middle, and a tough try at the catch by Calvin Ridley.
You're kidding me. You're actually kidding me. You didn't challenge this play? You didn't challenge a play that was very clearly a catch after replay? You had all the time upstairs to take a look, and you didn't challenge it? Just out of curiosity, how did this drive end?
Some pressure that time from Denver.
Thought so. Welcome to Dumb Decisions. Before I break down what happened here, this whole series is about taking an in-depth look at decisions made during games that were clearly awful from the start. This isn't something to look bad in hindsight. Rather, this is something to look awful almost immediately. These are moves where your gut instinct tells you right away that there is no way this could possibly work. And sure enough, your gut instinct was smarter than that of an NFL head coach. And for this one, we're taking a look at the mind of Tennessee Titans head coach Brian Callahan. That's right, it's a double feature, boys and girls. You thought you were done with Callahan after that last episode I did about his horrible management at the end of the first half that directly cost the Titans a chance of going into the halftime break with the lead? Think again, because holy cow, Brian Callahan is just that incompetent. It is rare that I do 2 episodes of Dumb Decisions on the same coach from the same game, but Callahan more than earned those honors here. The Broncos did not play well on this day, and against any other team, they probably lose. Against any other coach, they probably lose. But with Brian Callahan on my other sideline, there was never any doubt that the Broncos were going to win, because Callahan would just screw things up and try his absolute best to make the Titans unable to win this one. If I had to bet money on any coach to not be on the sideline when 2026 rolls around, Brian Callahan is hands down the guy I'm going all in on and placing all my chips in the center of the table on. He is that bad. So with that being said, let's take a look at why not challenging a huge catch that seemed rather obvious is a bad idea. As I usually do with these, I want to take a look at the risk and reward of both scenarios at hand. Option 1 in this moment is to challenge the play and challenge what was an incomplete pass, turning it into a catch. Again, it's important to emphasize with this that even though the officials are not perfect by any means, and they will sometimes get calls wrong that make you question what the rules of the sport are, this should be a catch. Per Rule 8, Section 1, Article 3, a forward pass is complete if a player who is inbounds secures control of the ball in his hands or arms prior to the ball touching the ground and touches the ground inbounds with both feet or with any part of his body other than his hands, and clearly performs any act common to the game or maintains control of the ball long enough to do so. Obviously, he caught the ball. Ayomanor caught the ball here. He got his elbow in bounds before any other part of his body, and he held on to it the entire time. He had possession and had a catch. So it's not like we're just throwing the challenge flag in the wind. This is 100% a catch by the literal definition of the rule, and you had plenty of time to take a look at it. If you challenge this and you win the challenge, it's a really big deal. You're getting the ball past midfield, and you're getting close to field goal range. Heck, your kicker is Joey Sly, who hit from 63 yards last season, and who is playing this game in Denver, where the altitude makes it much easier to kick the ball long distance. This catch already puts you in field goal range in a game that you are currently trailing by 1 point. Obviously, it's not a guarantee by any means, but if you challenge this play, the odds are extremely high they are going to be walking away with points barring a mistake on your end. Generally speaking, if there is a challenge that is in your favor and will result in points in all likelihood if you challenge it, you should challenge it. The con is that the challenge fails and you lose a timeout, but you still have 2 left plus the 2-minute warning. So if it comes down to that, you're still more than fine, because you technically still have 3 timeouts left. That's a pretty good argument for busting out the red challenge flag here, if you ask me. In terms of what happens if you don't challenge it, like Brian Callahan decided not to do, the pro is that you keep your timeout. Other than that, nothing. There are no pros besides that. You don't get into field goal range on that play. You keep the timeout if you win the challenge, so that's not even a great pro. And it's not like you'll be able to get that yardage back. It's not like you're challenging a short game. You're challenging a 23-yard catch on a day where, since the first drive, you haven't had a single play of that length. And since the start of the second quarter, your longest play was 14 yards. You had 1 play of 15 plus yards all day. Your ability to get explosive plays was about as good as the Colorado Rockies' ability to get wins this season. In all likelihood, faced with 2nd and 20 and knowing everything we know about how this game was going, you would have to punt the ball away and walk away from the drive empty-handed. I'm sure that was worth it though. Take away a surefire play and a very good chance of points to take the lead in a game that you're currently losing in just because you're too scared to throw the flag. And do you want to know why Brian Callahan didn't challenge this play? Do you want to know why this absolute moron of a head coach decided to keep the flag in his pocket and just go on as if nothing had ever happened? Because he didn't know the rules. Honest to God, this man right here, Brian Callahan, had no idea what the rules were for the sport that he's coaching. As Callahan said in his post-game presser on why he didn't challenge the play, an elbow doesn't equal 2 feet, so his foot would have had to come down as well. Seriously, he didn't know that if you touch the ground inbounds with your elbow or your knee or any part of your body, that you're in bounds. A basic, fundamental rule of football, and Callahan didn't know it. How was this man still employed? Seriously, how can the Tennessee Titans employ this man to be their head coach when he doesn't even know the sport that he's coaching? There are so many problems with this that I don't even know where to start. So I guess we'll start here. First off, remember that the Titans fired Mike Vrabel for this man. They decided to get rid of one of the best coaches in the history of the franchise for Brian freaking Callahan. And no, Vrabel was not perfect by any means. Toward the end of his tenure, he made some insane in-game management decisions, and his choice of offensive coordinators was downright appalling. And not firing Todd Downing, despite being given every opportunity to after his DUI in 2022, after the Packer game, was one of the worst coaching staff mistakes of all time. And I truly believe that if he does that move and fires him, they make the playoffs that year. But I bring that up because for all his faults, Vrabel knew the rules. He knew the rulebook inside and out. Remember the 2019 wildcard game against the Patriots when he used a loophole to kill as much time off the clock as possible? The Titans won the game off of that. They won that game because they had a coach that knew the rules. And to go from a guy who knows every single rule and how to exploit it to a guy who seemingly knows none of them is astonishing. It's a complete 180. It's like being in a computer-based company and have your company go from being run by a former project head at Google to being run by a 75-year-old grandma who thinks that every Nigerian prince's email is real. The contrast is insane. Second off, what do a lot of coaches preach more than anything else? They preach discipline. What is discipline? It's not committing penalties. How do you not commit penalties and play disciplined football? You play within the rulebook, because the rulebook explicitly lays out what you can and cannot do. And here, you have a leader who doesn't know the rulebook. So how can he lead a disciplined team if he doesn't know what the rules are? And again, we're not talking about something like a fair catch kick or a weird quirk that you only see once in a blue moon. We're talking about something that happens every game and something that every receiver knows. And the fact that you didn't challenge it, not because you didn't get a good look at it or because you didn't have time, but because you didn't know the rules? How can any player take you seriously? How do you have any credibility left? How can anyone trust you if you have no idea what sport you're playing? Your coaching decisions and your complete incompetence was directly responsible for the Titans losing this game. Genuinely, if the Titans wanted to fire a coach one game into the season, this would be a perfectly acceptable time to do it. The man went after a reporter. The man led his team to the worst record in football last year. The man made every wrong decision possible, and the man openly admitted that he didn't know the rules, thereby losing the trust and credibility of his teammates. The man is not qualified to be a head coach whatsoever. And while I do enjoy it as a Jaguars fan, for the Titans, the sooner they recognize this and move on, the better. So what did we learn from all of this? If you get an elbow in bounds, it's a catch. If you have all of your timeouts available at your disposal and you have a chance to get a big chunk play, which is something you haven't gotten all day, then you should probably throw the challenge flag. If you have time to look at a play and it's very obvious that the play will go in your favor, then you should probably throw the challenge flag. And if you don't know the rules to your own sport, then you should not be coaching that sport. Because when all these elements are in play, you can't exactly be surprised when this play backfires. Talk about a dumb decision. Check out our live streaming schedule for the next few days. We're live every single day on this channel, whether we're covering a sporting event or playing GeoGuessr or just taking your requests. So make sure you like and subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss a single time that we go live and so that you can join this community. Also, thanks to all our members and our Patreon supporters who get exclusive perks like their name at the end of each video, members-only Q&A streams, and cool emojis to use on videos and during streams. See how you can join this community and become a member or a Patreon member by clicking the link in the description below.